It's embarrassingly awesome. We're just that good.
Colin Smith here from Photoshop Cafe. And right now in our studio, we have a special guest all the way from New York. We have Lindsay Adler. Hi.
Hi, Colin. Thanks for having me here. I really appreciate it. Took this trip out here for business, for family, and I was really happy that I actually got to kind of come in and chat with you. And you've been thoroughly entertaining, so I appreciate it. I don't know if your listeners hear how insane you are a lot, but it's been fun.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Being called insane, it's always fun. Yeah.
Yep, and the face for radio.
And the voice for books.
No comment. I didn't say it. You did.
Well, thanks. Thanks for those wonderful compliments. So anyway, you having to put up people like me and stuff like that, but I do understand that you're used to, looking at some of the most beautiful people in the world as you're doing your fashion photography. Yeah, that's totally true.
I work as a fashion photographer. I also do a lot of commercial work. So sometimes I'm photographing people that aren't models, and I photograph pseudo-celebrities and athletes. But most of my work and what I do for my passion is fashion photography. So basically, I come up with an idea, whatever it is that I want and I can possibly think of, and then I pick the model, I put together the hair and makeup, I hire a team, cool clothes, and then it runs in magazines. So can't get much cooler than that. It's awesome.
That's cool. So what do you think is the biggest challenge for you when you are creating a fashion piece?
One of the biggest challenges is to develop a style. When you shoot, you want to have a style that someone looks at it and says, that's a Lindsay Adler piece, that's a whoever. But at the same time, you don't want to be boring. You don't want to be repeating yourself, and you don't want to look like that editorial could have been shot the same day, the same thing. So it's kind of a balance between getting your name out there with a style, but also doing something different. I think everything in fashion photography, it feels like, has been shot before. And so you want to be unique and catch people's eye, but there's so many fashion photographers out there. So it's a constant battle, and it's something that every photographer deals with, especially in fashion photography.
So if I talk to you for or anyone talks to you for more than about 30 seconds, it's pretty obvious that you are in love with photography. So how did you get started in photography?
It's kind of a long story, but not exactly. My mom and my grandma were both hobbyist photographers, so they just did it for fun. And we lived on a farm in upstate New York. I was not a farm girl by any means, but we left that to all the guys.
I love the way you kind of look away really quick when you said that.
It's like I was not a farm girl. But that was our way of kind of bonding. We'd go out and take pictures, and, the three girls. And from there, honestly, it sounds snotty, but I was really good. And it's one of those things, when you find something you're good at, you pursue it. It makes you feel good about yourself. And it was something that I learned very quickly I could do as a profession. In high school, I started my own portrait business, and it was kind of one of those things like, I'm a sophomore, and I went up and tapped on all the seniors' backs and said, hey, get your senior picture taken with me. So that was kind of the start, and that became a successful business. I went to college for photography. I realized that I did not want to be a photojournalist. I did not want to be a nature photographer who had to wake up at 4 in the morning and hike a mountain and hope there was a sunrise. So really, I always knew that photography was my passion, but trying to find exactly what type of photography, that was my challenge. So eventually I realized it's not so bad to photograph beautiful people in beautiful clothes with beautiful hair and makeup. And honestly, it let me be most creative. I can take creative liberties where, the shot that I took looks nothing like what I did in Photoshop. Or if I want to do a shoot of a girl with 10 wigs on her head with really, really bizarre hair and makeup, it's completely fine, and I can do it. Plus, unlike it's a little more challenging in fine art, as a commercial and fashion photographer, you can also make a living. So that's always a benefit as well.
Making a living is a good thing.
Yeah.
So it's quite obvious that you're very entrepreneurial in your thinking, starting your own business while still in high school. So how important is it to be entrepreneurial to succeed in the photography business?
When I was getting started in photography, I had a bunch of photographers that I looked up to, a lot of big names that I admired. And thankfully, I had a lot of opportunity to meet these people and ask them questions. And the first thing that I asked is, okay, I want to be a professional. What is the most important thing I need to do? And every single one of them says, get a business background. Work for a photographer who has really good business skills, or go to business school. None of them said a single thing about photography. That was kind of further down the line. So I actually got a degree in entrepreneurship in college. But it's incredibly important to be entrepreneurial because things are always changing. People's demands, the economy, what's going to sell. There's so many things that are always changing. So you have to have that mindset of really looking at the opportunities available to you and picking the one that's going to work best. So, I mean, I've used it in everything, from even just how you choose to do a DVD. I mean, to a certain extent, that's entrepreneurial, figuring out that's going to market me, or a book, or figuring out what your strengths are and, what's the demand in the market. So, and that's what I do all the time. And I would recommend the exact same thing to any photographer. If you are a great photographer, but your business isn't really going anywhere, it's the business. I mean, it has nothing to do. You still might be an amazing photographer, but your business might be slow because you don't have that business background. So go do it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, because I know a lot of creative professionals, not just in photography, but a lot of illustrators and stuff, who are just amazingly talented, but they end up, flipping burgers and stuff because they don't know how to market themselves. They don't know how to get out there, because a lot of the time, to become a great creative professional, great photographer, great artist, a lot of artists are very introverted and spend a lot of time with their art. So, as an artist, what would you say to somebody who is perhaps a very talented artist and probably doesn't even know it, because a lot of artists don't even realize how good they are until other people start to tell them. What would you say to someone who maybe is a little bit shy and they need to maybe get themselves out there a little bit more to, take it and make a living out of it? What kind of advice would you give them?
I mean, part of it is a lot of people don't want to talk about their work because they think that they sound conceited and snotty. But my trick is I talk about it as my passion. It's what I live for. It's what I die for. It's every important part of my life. So if you share your passion with people as much as possible and apply that to when you meet somebody, the projects that you take on in your blog, if you show that passion, then people will take a look at your work and start to be gravitating towards you because you have that passion, especially a lot of people in the arts in particular. And you know what? Anybody. You're very lucky to be able to do for your job something you're passionate about. And that was an important thing. My mom has kind of a desk job. And when I was an early child, she said, follow your passions, do what you love. And you're very lucky to do that. So I would tell people to share their passions, get their name out there. And especially if you're introverted, a good place to kind of start is online. It's social networking online, because it's not exactly face-to-face. So you do have that little bit of a barrier. But then you have to encourage yourself to be that much more outgoing, because there is the barrier of the internet.